Welcome to the show. I'm Gil Gross. Good to have you with me, everybody. In a funny way, I guess this is sort of a property rights case. In a funny way about what you can do in the privacy of your backyard. It's your backyard, not your front yard. You paid for it. Maybe you put a fence up, nice some bushes and stuff, so people aren't going around peeking in there and stuff. And after all, it is your property and it is your backyard, and it's none of their darn business. And generally, I guess that's held to. All neighbors peek when somebody gets a pool. They do that, and if they hear that some young luscious is maybe sunbathing or something, well, then suddenly everybody. It's amazing how all the guys who just want to play golf on the weekends are suddenly doing work up on the roof. Have you ever noticed that? All of a sudden, I don't know, honey, I think the roof needs some work. It's just a lot of that happens. Every time I go into a suburb and I see like a lot of guys up on the roof, I think, who's sunbathing where? But this is a question, I guess, of whether you can go too far even on your own property. This is a story that made the national wires this week, although apparently this all happened a couple of weeks ago. And it has to do with Woodland Hills, which is a neighborhood about 25 miles west of downtown Los Angeles. And the story, apparently, is that kids were playing at a birthday party, and they heard some strange sounds coming over the fence next door, a lot of grunting and groaning and stuff. So the parents kind of went, I guess we know what's going on next door, and they yanked the kids away so they wouldn't peek through and see what happened. And then a month later, officers called the same San Fernando Valley house, looked past the bushes through the chain link fence, and saw what some neighbors say has become a very familiar scene in the suburbs of Los Angeles, because apparently out in the San Fernando Valley, they're making a lot of hardcore porn videos. And apparently every once in a while, that's right next door, in the backyard, out in the open. Some people are going, hey, you know what? You really shouldn't be looking in your neighbor's backyard. What they do back there is their business, none of yours. And if you're the one peeking through, well, shame on you. And other people are saying, hey, hold on. It's outdoors. Even the guy next door at Home Improvement puts half of his face over the fence every once in a while to see what's going on next door. Come on. This stuff shouldn't be going on outside in any way, shape, or form. And they say it's not like the neighbors themselves getting carried away or something. They're renting these homes out, and that's God knows who, and his girlfriend, God knows who, together doing God knows what. William Margold is at our studios in Los Angeles. He's an anti-censorship activist and a member of the board of directors of the Free Speech Coalition. Hi, William. How are you?
Hi, kid. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Hey, thanks for calling me kid. I think I just felt another hair grow back in my head.
You're more than welcome.
So, I mean, the police are saying they're getting complaints, but even though they've made some arrests when things are getting a little out of hand, they're saying pretty much there's not much they can do, because by the time they get there, everybody, you got to really catch them in the act. And by the time they get on the scene, this is not exactly, I guess, movies where they do take 11.
No, we did. You better get it in the first take, because you're not going to get a second one.
Yeah, and we're you know what? The adults get it, and the kids play the travel bingo in the backyard. Go look for license plates this hour. We'll be as unexplicit as possible here.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, because somebody may have the show on in their backyard.
That's right. They may be piping it out. Maybe piping it into their pool area right now.
What
of course, it's 9 o'clock where you are, so I don't know if you even have pools in New York.
What? we have cesspools. Cesspools of
welcome
violence.
to my industry, kid. I guess I'd be happy. I hear you're losing 42nd Street, so you might as well do something.
What? Hey, we're replacing you guys with Disney.
You're welcome to them. That's suspicious animal sex, isn't it? It's got mice, dogs, ducks.
Hey,
very,
an occasional
very
duck walking around with a sailor cap, a shirt, and no pants. It's okay. It's healthy family entertainment. Cut it out.
Ain't Babe, kid. It ain't Babe.
So, man. Well, yeah, this question has to do with a couple of pigs next door we're doing, so let's get into that with a babe. Aren't there some rules about what you can do, even out in the backyard? Aren't there some rules about what you can do out in the open?
Well, we rent these properties. We pay considerable amounts of money, and we're not fools. We're not taking any overt chances. We have been given the license to shoot in Los Angeles now since 1988 with what was known as the Freeman decision, which adjudicated us to be legitimate filmmakers.
The Freeman decision?
Yes, it's
So
very little.
you guys are like up in Montana now or something? Right?
Well, no,
checks?
this is Hal Freeman, and he had been caught making a movie in Palos Verdes and was busted on all kinds of problems and spent many years in jail. But one of the things he was busted for was pandering, and it went to the state Supreme Court, and they decided in a completely unanimous decision that the performers are simply that and not prostitutes. They are being paid to perform, they are being paid to act, and if sex enters into it, it is simply part of the act, and it is not anything overt in the sense of prostitution. What was going on in the backyard, I've been making these movies since 1972. I've been in many backyards in Woodland Hills. I've been in many not so much front yards, but I'm in many parts of Woodland Hills in situations where we check to see, as it says in the story, the sound lines, the sight lines. We're not trying to rub society's nose in anything, but if you look at this story, which is rather unique, first of all, being about 6 weeks old, but second, when they showed this on television, even Sainted Channel 2 out here, they showed how the kids got to look into the backyard, and they had to essentially function in the capacity of the prince in Sleeping Beauty. They had to scale walls, they had to climb through thorns, I'm surprised there weren't minefields in the way. And I think I envision these 12 little birthday children all perched on top of each other, teetering precariously to look into the yard. This is, for the lack of a better term, a crock. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And in fact, they're the ones who should be prosecuted for violating somebody else's privacy. And yet, because they're morally outraged, they and their pious parents are morally outraged, it's the people in the yard doing what is now deemed legitimate that get busted.
Now, when you say it was now deemed legitimate, in what way? By who?
It's been given legitimate sanctions. This is all legitimate. We're making films, we're making adult videos, but they are now deemed to be legal matter. They're no longer illegal. It's no longer illegal to make X-rated movies in Southern California.
Mm-hmm. But I guess it comes.
And we're not rubbing anybody's nose in. Let me ask you this. Here's a question of logic.
Okay.
If you were going to make a movie,
that,
if you were to make a movie next door to a place that's having a birthday party, children make a lot of noise, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to attempt to override that noise with, quote unquote, the grunting and groaning? It's going to be very hard to justify a scene of sexual delight with happy birthday to you in the background. Think about that. This whole thing doesn't make any sense to me.
So
absolutely no sense.
Are you saying that you think they probably weren't doing any filming during the birthday party?
I don't think they were even. I think their rights were violated tremendously. I think the birthday party was a ruse. I think that these people next door were jealous because their house wasn't being used, and they just simply called on them because they want their house to be used because there's a lot of money exchanging hands.
William, you're going a little over the top here. I don't think.
Am I going over the top? Think of the other guy in that story, a gentleman named Frank Zavala, who says they do it on their property, keep it quiet, it's their business. Is it morally right? I'm reading right out of the story.
Yeah, there's the dentist who lives on the other side of the house.
Yeah, it's even a better quote than me. I'll leave it to the priests and the rabbis to decide, and I guess your audience will understand what I'm talking about. How dare somebody tell somebody they can't pursue their free enterprise? And without rubbing it at anybody. No, this is not indecent exposure. These people are protected. You can't see in. But somehow these people mystically saw in. And I'd love to know to what extent the vice cops went to look into that yard. How many ladders did they stand in? Years and years and years ago, I was involved with a case somewhat similar to this where the vice cops stepped onto the property and looked into a recessed window to bust us. I proved that in court, and that whole case was thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't enter onto a person's property without a proper warrant.
Now, is there a difference to you whether this happened? If it happens in your own property, but let's say it's in the front yard. Now, that's not what happened here. But I'm curious because you started to say in a few front yards yourself.
Yes, I have in a few front yards where the front yard happens to be out of harm's way. There's a place called the Avocado Ranch in Agoura where we shoot all the time, and we shoot the backyard, front yard. That place is like 100 acres.
Okay, so you can't see anything from the street.
Unless you have a helicopter. And we get many of those over, and they wave at us and we wave at them.
If you see something, if you are in a position where you can see something in the street, does that come under the public indecency laws or anything, or are you protected as long as you're on your own property?
That's indecent exposure.
So even if you're filming something, you can't stand on like your front stoop and
I would not think so. I think common sense prevails there.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But these people go into there are no pools in the front yard usually of houses. There are no spas. There are no cabanas. Front yards in Los Angeles are pretty limited, and quite frankly, particularly down even in that area, because they put all of their grass in the back. So there's not much you can do there. Think about what I'm saying. It's very difficult. We try and make these movies as accommodating as possible to the audiences. We try and have the scenes take place in places where audiences watching them in the frigid East don't get a chance to frolic themselves.
How do you mean frigid, wise guy?
Yeah, that's interesting. I was wondering if you'd ask.
Yeah, let me let me take a break here. And let me come back and let me see if our listeners think that the neighbors, to whatever trouble they may have gone to see what was going on, if they think that they had a right to complain or not, and whether they think that the law should be able to follow up on those complaints. 1-800-456-1227 is the number. 1-800-456-1227. We are sponsored in part by... let's put the situation next door to your house, or maybe you want to make a little money and it's your backyard.
Sure do. Yeah, a lot of profit. There's profit in porn.
What do you think? Yeah, well, we didn't think it was here for our moral good or anything.
It is. It most certainly is for that too.
Well, we'll get to that. 1-800-456-1227. We're sponsored in part by Oakwood Corporate Housing.
You're going, transferred to New York, but your house won't be ready for 3 months. So call Oakwood Corporate Housing. They find fully furnished apartments in over 1,000 cities. Oakwood provides everything from linens to VCRs, stress-free, so you'll have time to figure out New York. Figure out New York, write a bestseller about it. Write a bestseller, you can move home to Kansas. Heck, you could own Kansas. Call 1-800-888-0808. 1-800-888-0808. Oakwood Corporate Housing, America's favorite temporary address.
Welcome to Sears Auto Center. Can I help you?
I think you've got a problem here.
What's that, ma'am?
Your tire prices, they're too low.
Well, all of our tires are on sale.
Yes, but your commercials say Sears Auto Center, our garage is your garage.
So?
So when people go to a garage sale, they want to haggle, but Sears prices are so low, there's no reason to haggle.
Isn't that a good thing?
Hey, it's your garage sale. I was just trying to help.
Through May 29th, all tires are 5 to 20% off. And because we're Sears, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Sears Auto Center, our garage is your garage.
Morton Vale, the lawyer in Primal Fear, returns for a trial of pure terror. In the case of his career, Vale saved a psychotic killer. Now the story continues, and so does the evil. Show of Evil by William Deal, best-selling author of Primal Fear. A perfect summer thriller raves USA Today. Deal is at his best, says the Atlanta Journal and Constitution. Show of Evil by William Deal, finally in paperback from Ballantine.
Isabel Jenko loves new Ovaltine Light. Here's why.
The first word that pops in my head is yummy. Ovaltine Light is less calories, but the taste is all Ovaltine.
New chocolate malt Ovaltine Light has 1/3 less calories and the same great taste as regular Ovaltine, and no fat.
It's sweet, chocolatey, rich, and for calorie-conscious people, Ovaltine Light is the perfect answer.
New chocolate malt Ovaltine Light. It tastes great. It's great for you.
You could be blind, you could be unable to walk, you could have a hearing impairment, you could have a speech problem, you could be paralyzed, and you'd still be able to do one very important job. It's the job of getting involved. It means everything from attending a PTA meeting to helping people who are homeless, from running for office to visiting people who are sick. All it means is speaking your mind, taking a stand, and participating in your world. The important thing is, whether it's volunteering or voting, we all have something to contribute. Because no matter what your disability, for this job, caring is the only ability necessary. That's why at Easter Seals, we believe when it comes to getting involved, everyone is qualified. This has been a message from Easter Seals, encouraging everyone to speak your mind, take a stand, and get involved. For more information on ways for you to participate, contact the Easter Seals Society in your community, because all of us have the ability to make a difference.
A man loads his car at midnight and secretly spirits his 6-year-old daughter out of town. A woman hurries through a crowded bus station, 2 bewildered young boys clutching her side. These scenes are reenacted thousands of times a year in big cities and small towns across America. Children abducted by someone they trust, their own parents.
Mothers and fathers disputing custody begin a life on the run in a desperate attempt to keep their children, but they could end up losing them. If the loneliness and pressures of life on the run are taking a toll on you or someone you know, call Child Find of America. Child Find of America can help. All it takes is a call to their special helpline, 1-800-292-9688, and help your children find a more peaceful future. Child Find offers free over-the-phone mediation between parents. All calls are confidential and answered by someone who cares, someone who will help both parents help their children. It's that simple. It's that safe. Call 1-800-292-9688 and help your children find a more peaceful future. That's 1-800-292-9688.
All right, welcome back. William Margold is with us, an anti-censorship activist, member of the board of directors of the Free Speech Coalition, which is basically it's the industry trade association for X-rated films, right?
Yes, it's evolved out of a series of organizations. I also, I'm on the board of directors of Free Speech. I also have two other organizations now, one called Fox, Fans of X-Rated Entertainment, to raise money to fight censorship.
Oh, man, Rupert Murdoch's got to be like one happy boy about that. Fox, huh?
Well, in fact, my mascot is a nice bushy-tailed woman. And then the other one is far more humanitarian. It's called PAW, P-A-W, Protecting Adult Welfare. It's a non-profit organization to raise money to promote the health and welfare of the adult performer and the adult industry.
All right, and more about all that stuff as we get into this. Let me get back to the house thing, though,
Yeah.
and whether the neighbors have a right to have any say in this, call the police, try and chase it from the neighborhood or anything like that. I imagine there's probably a couple of issues here for these people.
Yeah, jealousy.
Cut that.
Pure and simple.
Oh yeah, I'll bet they're
pure and simple.
I'll bet they're real jealous that some guy who's had sex with 10,000 men and women right now isn't having sex with them right now. Sure, in the age of AIDS,
the
they're
jealousy,
probably real jealous about that.
Financial jealousy.
Well,
their
how
house
much?
is not
Come
being
on, this
used.
isn't Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments. How much are they actually paying for these things? Most of the movies look like they've got like one day McDonald's paycheck as their total budget, right?
A good location can raise anywhere between $800 and $1,000 a day.
Really?
Yeah, I've paid $1,500 for a day.
$1,500?
A cash location, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
and in many cases, that operative word, by the way, is cash.
But it
think about what I'm saying.
It means that they don't report it to the IRS.
Gee,
it's amazing how fast I am with these things.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good for New York.
Listen, try and get somebody to work in your house here and take a check. It's impossible. Hi, I'm a carpenter. Really? And I suppose you have a license and you take checks. You must be thinking about some other city. If they're jealous, I think they could probably just, like, if they were jealous, instead of complaining to the police, they'd be knocking next door and say, hi, want to use my back door in the next film? I mean, come on. It's not going to be jealousy. I mean, they'd be over there saying, me for your next film. I mean, they make what, about 112 of these a day or something?
Well, they make approximately 200 of them a month.
Geez, so your chances...
Well, you know,
I doubt it's
I hate
jealousy.
to break it to you, but it's not only the San Fernando Valley. Back in the days when this was a trichotomy industry of San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York, there were just as many movies being made in New York as there were in the Southern California area and also San Francisco. And New York rented out huge homes for phenomenal amounts of money. Also, New York was a much more experimental form of X-rated filmmaking. A lot of the stuff was done in areas down on 42nd Street, down in the Brooklyn and the Bronx or the Battery areas. They shot some great movies in New York, real classics back in the days when film was being shot rather than video, so it was real crews. New York has never, ever bothered anybody about adult filmmaking. Very interesting. In that respect, you are far more grown up than California, which is still, so I guess their minds have been bleached by the sun.
It's just in New York, you got people walking around naked doing stuff anyhow, and
yeah, that's true.
And it's just whether somebody's holding a camera on them or they're just homeless and crazy, it doesn't make much difference here. But I imagine one of the things people be worried about is property values. You're selling your house, and somebody comes by and they go, "Gee, you know, I hear what are those sounds next door?" And you go, "Well, they rent out the house a lot to film porno movies."
But that's not
well,
see ya, bye. Do you think it lowers the quality?
Well, if I were coming in there and let's say I had, you know, like a 16-year-old daughter or something, and I knew there were like guys who direct porno movies working next door, would I be likely to buy that house? I don't think so.
Well, that's your choice. I don't think we're not forcing anybody to watch this. We're not forcing anybody to rent their properties. It is a lucrative business. a very lucrative business. We need locations. There are location finders in the business
but
that go
again,
out to these houses.
This isn't like King Kong or something that's going on next door.
In what respect? Now, we can bring in a huge... Well,
make up your own puns. I know you're all thinking of them. All right.
I certainly hope so, but these are mainstream adult videos. Some of them cost up to $20,000 a day to shoot a video, or two days. I've been given budgets of somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000 to do a movie.
But one of the things that I brought up, besides the property values, let's bring in that whole idea. I'm somebody, let's say I've got a 16, 17-year-old daughter. I'm not comfortable about guys who basically are kind of scouting women and checking people out being next door to me all the time when what they would want attractive women for is for that. Hey,
no, that's not true. It's not all the time, but this is essentially a privacy issue. Let's get back to the basics. Now we've had our fun, and now we have to go back to the basics of
But do you understand why I would be uncomfortable with that? But besides whatever moral issue, I understand.
Well, I'm wondering.
I can't put my morals in somebody else. But do you understand why somebody would be uncomfortable with that?
I wonder if you might be uncomfortable about it, but I don't know if your 16 or 17-year-old would be uncomfortable about it.
That
and the tragedy of it is but listen, but when you were 16 and 17-year-old, if you can remember back that far, you probably wouldn't have been uncomfortable about it either. Think about this, because the tragedy of it is that the older you get, the less liberal you become.
We're not talking about, if we were talking about, for the most part, kind of, sensual romantic scenes or something.
Well, to certain people that is. This is hardcore adult action.
Right.
In and out. Up, in, out, and off. It's what I've been paid for. I've done it 500 times on camera. But what's wrong with that? We are performers. Bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, full count, no foul ball.
When I was 16, was that my image of like what was going on between men and women? No.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If you had looked over the fence when you were 16, this is going back maybe to the dark ages, but if you had looked
Speak
over
for yourself,
the fence,
William.
If you were looked over the fence and you had seen that, do you believe that you would have gone blind? Do you believe you would have turned to a pillar of salt? Do you believe that hair would have suddenly sprung out of your palms? Blood would have run out of your nose and ears? What do you think would have been so bad if you had seen that blasphemous sight? Think about what I'm saying.
I'm thinking about what you're saying.
Do you really think that acts of sexuality are that damaging to the psychological
No, but I don't
profile?
want to see. No, but I don't want to see two other. But listen, I didn't even want to think about when I found out, about it, and it's a wonderful thing. And I thought about my second grade teacher. I'm not going to use her name, but I think about the fact that she had Mrs. in front of her name meant that she had done that. You know what? I'm still horrified thinking about that.
That's fascinating because I had a fourth grade teacher very much like that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that
but
anymore.
I never thought about it.
I have to eat dinner. Let's take a break. 1-800-456-1227. We'll be back.
Be 100%. Children who not long ago would have had little more than a prayer of surviving their diseases now lead happy and healthy lives, and all because people cared. Danny Thomas cared. Americans cared. And that's how the work will continue, because people like you care. For information on how you can help, call 1-800-USS-JUDE. That's 1-800-USS-JUDE. Thank you.
I could have been male or female. I could have been a young child, middle-aged, or a senior citizen. One day I was as normal as anyone else. Then suddenly I found myself so weak I could hardly breathe, chew, or focus my eyes. I was tired, feeble, helpless. My nerves and muscles had lost their ability to communicate. I have myasthenia gravis, a rare autoimmune disease. Myasthenia strikes anyone at any age without warning. It may begin with something as inconspicuous as an eyelid that will not open completely. There's no cure yet, but there are effective medications. If you or anyone you know has one or more of these myasthenia symptoms, please call the national office of the Myasthenia Gravis Foundation at 1-800-541-5454.
The MG Foundation can help. That's 1-800-541-5454.
Now that's not exactly the kind of music I'm known for, but I don't have to play it to love it myself. Hi, I'm Mary Chapin Carpenter, with a message about making choices. You can always choose between your Beethoven and Bo Diddley. That's discriminating taste. But don't choose between people because of their race, religion, age, gender, national origin, or disability. That's discrimination, and it's against the law. If discrimination happens to you or someone you know, you can call this number, 1-800-552-6843. Because discrimination is just out of tune with America. A message from the folks at the U.S. Civil Rights Commission and this good station.
During the course of a year, your neighbors will have their first baby. Your niece will graduate from college.
And so, as we go forth,
And you'll celebrate that great American season called simply the holidays. They're special times for you and for the people who are special to you. So in their honor, why just give a present when you can give a piece of the future?
blow out the candles, dear.
When you give U.S. savings bonds, you show you care today and for all those special days to come. And U.S. savings bonds are easy to give. Get them at your bank and ask for a savings bond gift certificate. So, when you help two people celebrate the day they'll remember forever.
I now pronounce you husband and wife.
Give the gift they'll treasure today and tomorrow.
Take stock in America, U.S. savings bonds.
Welcome back. I'm Gil Gross. Good to have you with me, everybody. And with us in our studios in Los Angeles, William Margold, who's anti-censorship activist, member of the board of directors of the Free Speech Coalition, which is the trade industry association for X-rated movies. And
well, the entire adult industry, basically, but X-rated movies predominate because there's 600 million tapes a year rented or sold.
Wow.
Yeah.
600 million tapes and sold?
600 million. We control a third of the market out there. People go in and buy Back to the Future, and they buy Backside to the Future.
Is that a real title? I hope not. Is
sure
it really?
Was. Absolutely. You know, they do Babe and they'll do Baby.
It's more than I need to know. Seriously falls under more than I need to know. We started this discussion because it started as a discussion about whether or not the police have a right, whether neighbors have a right to not just complain but have something done about these films being made in the backyards of the homes next door. And we're taking your calls at 1-800-456-1227. There is a strange thing here, I admit. I mean, when you come up with numbers like that, it's interesting that just yesterday I turned on the TV and there's Bill Clinton and there's Bob Dole, and they're having, and maybe it proves the need for the discussion, but they're having basically a battle on TV over who occupies the higher moral plane to appeal to the people of the United States, and you kind of wonder what's going on. I mean, how can we want our higher moral plane appealed to if we're 600 million?
600 million. But you have to understand something, that X is simply another letter in the entertainment alphabet, very much like R is a letter in the entertainment alphabet. And if you take one letter out of this alphabet, the rest of them will eventually capitulate. This is a matter of censorship, which is really not what we're dealing with here. But it's puzzling that at this point in time, if you had the phones lighting up in your studio, you'd already be on them. This is a non-story, a colossal non-story. Not that I want to disparage, but I had 3 calls today. I'm doing another show on Monday. I'm doing an interview on Wednesday because there's nothing else going on right now.
No, there's other
It's
stuff
a very
going on. We have people
slow
who are interested in
news
this.
budget, as they call it, and this suddenly rears its empty head, and people are kicking the stuffings out of it.
So you
Unbelievable.
feel, I mean, you feel picked on or what?
I'm not picked on. I'm amused. This is not picked on because there's no case here. There's no story here. This is nuts.
Well, what did these people get arrested for?
They got arrested, quote unquote, for lewd conduct. What is lewd conduct? Cited to the renters and the director for permit violations. But if they had a permit, how do you violate your permit? They went out of their way. They did indeed probably break a few laws to supposedly defend the law. Isn't that interesting? Their morality was slightly set askew.
When you say
so
they don't say they.
The vice cops.
Okay.
And the vice cops, you have to understand, you think back to your high school days when you read Les Miserables.
Yeah.
The X-rated industry is very much Jean Valjean, and the vice cops are Javert. Our loaves of bread are simply between our legs.
If people...
Nice analogy, huh?
Yeah,
And
but let's
clean
keep
enough.
It, yeah.
Clean enough for radio.
Yeah, well, let's be careful.
I have to
clean
paint
enough.
visual images for your people. They're out there now with their fingers trying to figure out a loaf of bread, I suspect.
No, they're not, William. Cut that out. They know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, you'll tell them after this show's over,
And
I'm
some
sure.
of them probably don't mind, and some of them rent this stuff. And
I certainly hope that,
and some
you'd
of
be
them
surprised
don't
how
want,
many of them do.
And some, no, not with a figure like 600 million. I guess I'm not going to be surprised how many of them do.
What I stand for is the right to watch this material, and no one should have the right to tell you you can't. That's what it's all about. Consenting adult material.
And I don't think that's really what's going on here, though. What's going on here is what. So do you think? Let me just try and wrap this. You think the birthday party thing was made up?
I think it was probably pushed out of proportion. I want to know if these kids even know what went on next door. Are they going to bring in a whole bunch of little kids with those dunce caps on their heads? What did you see? Oh, I saw a birthday cake. You know, this is nuts. This is insane. It reminds me of the scene in Body Heat, where the girl stumbles in on Kathleen Turner and William Hurt. What did you see? I saw an angry red monster. This is crazy. These people, they're going to traumatize these poor children into saying things they probably never saw. Worst possible thing they can do. Absolutely.
In other words, you think that they're going to be brought in? They're not going to bring the kids in the court.
No,
or something,
of course
are
not.
they?
But this is what they
that's not
might
that
because,
kind of case.
well, you got these vice cops who are zealots, absolute zealots. There's another non-story out about some vice cop who's so puffed up with himself because he busted Heidi Fleiss and he set up the Tracy Lord sting, and now he's sitting watching internet and can't believe what's coming over the internet. I can imagine this man probably slipping on his own drool as he staggers out of the room to report on what he's not, what he's shocked about. You've got to be kidding. This whole thing, this whole attack on the X-rated industry is just absolutely blatant whipping boy mentality. We don't know how to fight back. That's the whole thing.
What do you mean
the
you don't
X-rated
know how
industry
to
is
fight
never.
back? You've spent the last 40 minutes fighting back.
Yes, but we don't fight back the way, let's say, the drug cartels fight back. The vice cops pick on the X-rated industry because they know they will not get hurt by sticking their nose where it doesn't belong.
Now, what do you mean by that? If everybody was so hot to trot for this and everybody was supporting this so much, don't you think that they would be telling the police to lay off?
No, of course not.
Why?
Because it doesn't have the vicious mentality of the drug cartels. It doesn't have the viciousness of organized crime. It's simply an entertainment medium. And it all is, of course, that great Never Neverland known as sex, which no one understands.
So let's sum this up. As far as you're concerned, the cops should lay off, and you think most of these people are happy, and the people who are complaining about what's going on at the door next door,
they would
you think
sooner
they
have
should
their
basically mind their own business?
They would, yes, mind their own business, and in all probability would like to have their property used.
Well, really, coming seriously, I think that's just a silly debating point on your side. If they really wanted that, they would just go next door, William, and say, please, could you come over, and how much you paying for this kind of thing when you come over and use my house? They're not doing that, right?
We don't know that. Maybe next week they'll be shooting at those people's houses.
Well, William, come on. Don't you think there's anybody? Don't you think there's anybody that's just plain offended by this?
Why? What offends them? Tell me, honestly,
they think
what offends you
it's
about
immoral.
Well, how immorality is offensive? That's
Yes,
a state of
well,
mind. You know why people...
No, whoa. Wait
a minute.
Immorality is a state of mind?
Immorality is a state of mind. If you
There are
think
opinions on it, but it's not just a state of mind.
If you think sex is dirty, then you have a dirty mind.
And if I
That's not my problem.
And if I
sex
think,
is a healthy
and
animal
if I think
act.
murder is bad, then I have a bad mind.
No,
well,
but
this
we don't
logical
murder
construct
anybody.
doesn't work.
This gives me the opening chance for my famous Mies Commission line. In a society that is drug-infested, violence-racked, and polluted by chemical greed, no one has ever died from an overdose of pornography. That's my most famous statement. I got a better one if you like it, if you want to get into religion, which will rattle the cage of all your pious, sanctimonious, puritanical listeners. But, we'll get into that if you want to close with it. But I'll save the no one ever died from an overdose of pornography for this moment, because no one ever has. To date, no one. There's nowhere you can pick through history to prove that it does. We may be able to bore you to death, but we're certainly not going to...
We're getting into a whole other thing.
any
But neither one of
calls?
us are qualified to talk to. Yeah, but I don't want to do that right now.
I'd like to hear from a New Yorker.
Well, this is national. This has nothing to do with New Yorkers.
Oh, all right. Well, I'd like to hear from somebody national.
All right,
Then maybe we got a California call.
Let me take a break. We'll be back. 1-800-456-1227. What do you think of William? We'll try it. 1-800-456-1227. We'll be back right after this in the Gil Gross Show.
Thought we were going to the store,
We are.
but you just missed the turnoff.
I thought we'd take the long way.
Okay, I'll do better in math.
Good.
Now turn around.
This isn't about math.
It isn't?
No,
Well, fine. Science. I lost my book, that's all.
it's not about science either.
How long do we have to do this?
Do what?
Drive around.
I don't know.
Just tell me what it is, okay?
Tell you what?
Whatever it is you're mad at.
I'm not mad, should I be?
I don't know, are you?
No.
Come on.
Look, I just want to know how you're doing, that's all.
You don't want to say anything?
No. How about you?
No, not me. Dad?
Mm-hmm.
Are you dying?
No.
Oh, I mean good. I'm glad you're going to be around for a while.
Is that so?
I'd miss you.
I'd miss you too.
Really?
Understanding grows one conversation at a time from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Hello?
Hey, Doug, it's me, Cocaine.
Cocaine?
Yeah, just calling to say thanks.
For what?
Nothing. Thanks for nothing, pal. You're the greatest.
What do you mean?
You know how you just sit around minding your own business?
Yeah?
You've really helped me out here, pal. I appreciate it.
Wait a minute,
Don't do drugs, so you figure you're doing your part. Ooh, you're beautiful. You're my favorite type.
Type?
I'm sitting here raising your taxes and insurance premiums, and I get no complaints from you. Very helpful to my cause.
Look here,
Don't be modest, man. You're making me famous. Take child abuse. It's in the headlines. I'm a major player.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, and I've been pretty busy getting kids to drop out of school, because, hey, if they got a future, then I don't. Of course, you understand.
Drugs are a part of your life, whether you use them or not, and doing nothing allows them to use you.
Hey, I ran into marijuana yesterday. Man, is he living the high life.
Oh, great.
Says your daughter's a real looker.
My daughter? How...
We get around, Dougie. Oh, hang on. Crack wants to say hi.
Don't pay for what you don't use. Doing nothing can really cost you. Brought to you by the Partnership for a Drug-Free America.
All right, let's go coast to coast and see what they think of William Margold. And we'll start, it is what you wanted. We'll start on your side, Fresno. Craig, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, sir. How are you?
Good. I often wondered why the words sex and violence often wind up in the same breath.
I hope we didn't. We never mentioned violence, did we?
No, but,
we haven't talked about violence.
I heard comments about how you're kind of worried about people being turned off by sex, and gosh, if you turn on a cartoon on a Saturday morning, all you're going to see is violence.
Well, you have a strange
It's not very realistic in the cartoons, though. I mean,
No,
I
it isn't,
fight
but-
with the violence people when they start, citing Roadrunner cartoons and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
I think
don't have,
slasher movies and stuff like that, and then we're talking about things where they do some pretty realistic things. If my kid were seeing something like that, I'd be very concerned, and frankly, more concerned than if the kid was watching a sex film.
Well,
That's a good point.
I would much rather my kids see sex than to see a steady diet of violence, which is what they see now.
And yet, in our society, it's very interesting, the great paradox, and this was my quote before Nicholson took it, that if you cut a breast off, you get an R. If you kiss one, you get an X.
I would, and this doesn't defend the porno industry from me, but I would. My first concern is violence.
Yeah, and
I do wonder sometimes why some movies where there's nudity gets an R, and some films where I think there's a lot of
nudity gets the X.
Heads being slashed. No, not anymore. Somebody has to be doing something actively to get the X. But
well, not true, because think of Showgirls. NC-17.
I never saw Showgirls, so I have no idea.
You're lucky. It's an abysmal film.
That's what I heard from everybody. I heard basically, listen, if you want some of that, you might as well just see one of Mr. Margold's films and
You're
forget
more than
about
welcome. I can do it a lot hotter, kid.
Thanks a lot.
I do it for real.
More than I need to know, once again.
Freedom
but
of Information
Craig,
Act.
Can't you be worried about both?
Why do we want to be worried
Craig?
about both?
Well, let me ask Craig.
Well, sex is one of the most fundamental things that a human being can do. It is a basic
Well, so is going
urge.
to the bathroom, which we do several times a day, but it doesn't necessarily mean you want somebody doing it outdoors next door.
But if it's
Your dogs do it.
If it's done well, it's a beautiful thing, and I can't think of, I can't apply that same statement to going to the bathroom.
Okay. That's Craig. Thank you for the call.
You're welcome.
Peter in Cedarhurst, New York. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Gil.
Yes, sir.
I enjoy your show, and
Help me,
usually
Peter.
like your guest on the air, but I'd like to know where you got this horse manure over here.
Oh, horse manure. And I take it, are you a agrarian, sir?
Listen, I'm from New York, and I'd like to know, this is a moral that you're putting into our society.
Oh,
I'd like
sure.
to know where these 600 million people are.
No, 600 million tapes, sir.
And if they do exist, they're immoral. And what's going on with this world? No one's sticking up for morality, for God, for rights.
Oh, we're going to get to God now, are we?
Well, let me tell you. Let me just.
Well,
finish.
you don't have to. If somebody is, I think it's one of the things that offends people. Now, why do you have to make fun of somebody because they believe
I'm
in
not
God?
making fun of him. I just think he's a fool.
Horse manure.
Whoa,
and if he wants to meet me in a street and you want to have a fist fight in New York, let's do it. I don't want to hear his.
Well, now,
his
wait a
baloney,
minute.
how he's going to give me.
Hold on, one second, Peter. Now you see, this conversation's broken down entirely. I mean,
Is there
one
a new
second I got
team in New
somebody
York
worried
called the
about
New York
violence.
Jackasses?
Now stop it, both of you. Just stop it. Stop it. I don't need this. I really don't need this.
I don't need it either. This man's a brain fool.
Well, you don't have to. William, don't make fun of him because he believes in God. You show some respect, first of all, and second of all, this guy saying he believes in him and then wants to, have a
Let me
challenge
tell you
a guy
about-
to a public fist fight on the air. I don't need either. So let's just
Let me
move
tell
on.
you about this
Let me just
whole
move
thing.
on. George in Greensboro, North Carolina. Hi, George.
Hi there. How you doing?
Excedrin headache number 542, I think. Is
All things will pass.
yeah. Okay. What's on your mind?
Okay, going back to his point about it being a crime.
Yeah.
Here in North Carolina, it's illegal to use a private residence for a business. If it's 1 day, 1 minute, however long it takes.
Well, welcome to the Dark Ages.
Well, it may be, but if it were popular legislation to make it otherwise, our populace would have. So I believe our government says you go with whatever the majority votes for.
No,
So
our government says freedom of choice, kid.
Well, until you vote it in, it's still a crime. Can we not agree on that?
And in California, it was voted out, and it's not
Can
a
we
crime.
not agree on that? Yes
We
or
can
no?
agree on it. You're more than welcome to. But there is a problem with the South, and we've known that for a long time.
Doesn't make any difference.
What's the problem with the South?
It's retarded.
Do we agree
Well,
on
what
the
is it
fact
with
that it's a
you?
crime?
I attack.
You could start a fight in the Dale Carnegie cafeteria.
Absolutely.
Do not all judges say that ignorance of the law is no excuse?
Ignorance. Wait a minute. Whose law, kid?
As our state law.
Yeah, that's your state. This is that's a
Okay,
state of disarray. Our state is much more, I guess, grown
fine.
up.
But
Oh,
that
California.
leads you to
Yeah, that's
the
a real grown-up place.
Possibility of the committal of a crime.
Oh, that's interesting. Is that your dog, sir?
Yes, she's.
You know what your dog is?
The puppies
George.
are giving her a little trouble tonight.
The fleas?
No, the puppies.
Oh, the puppies. Oh,
She's
what,
had a long day inside. It's rained.
what kind of? Oh, it's raining.
A Belgian Shepherd.
Good dog.
Yeah, she's great.
One second, I'm doing Warren Eckstein's show
No,
now.
I used to sell dog food door to door. What can I tell you?
George, what did you think? The point you made when you called is what?
Well, I think he said the fact that it's an uncriminal kind of thing. I think you have to look at whether or not we ignore our laws or whether or not we respect them.
But here it's not against the law to make these movies. Where you are, it is. Therefore, if I went to North Carolina or South Carolina and shot a movie, I would take my chances, as I used to take until 1988 when it became legal.
That's it in your state.
Well, yeah. But if I took a chance and went...
George is just telling you to stay out of Greensboro.
Okay, the second question is...
I'd probably get hung there.
You said...
in more ways than one.
That no one ever died from porno?
From an overdose of pornography. I hope you're not going to bring up that one great name.
Well, when I was thinking about snuff films that I saw...
There are none. Have you ever seen one, sir?
Yes.
You have?
You have?
Holland.
Holland? You saw a movie in Holland? You saw a snuff film? What did you see?
They whacked somebody in the head with a wooden shoe?
No,
Hans Brinker stuck more than just his finger in the dike? Now, you know what, that's not taking any kind of name in vain there. That's a true kid story.
Oh, it's true.
But no,
nobody knows what you're referring to because that just got instantly that was digitally excised. Your last remark.
Wait a minute. How could it be? That's
Isn't it amazing?
Story.
The wonders of science.
Hans Brinker and the Silver Skates.
It wasn't Hans Brinker and the Silver Skates. It was the line. It was the other line that you said. It
but
did
it's
not
true.
appear on
He
the
did.
radio. I know. It's just in that I have the right to make sure certain things. That's why we do this show and delay. I have the right to make sure little things.
And it's not even spelt the same way.
Let's go to Joe in Joliet, Illinois. Hi, Joe.
Oh, you cut off that.
Joe, how are you, Joe?
All right, how are you?
Let me try and trust you, William. Joe, how are you? My finger on the panic button again.
This is fun.
Joe, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. How are you?
Good. Oh, I'm fine. I'm never looked more forward to a 3-day weekend in my life. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, I was listening to your show, and
God bless you.
And
I would have been gone ages ago.
I had a question there.
Deeply hurt.
Yes.
You'd have missed a Belgian Shepherds.
For your Mr. Bill.
Yeah.
How many children does he have?
3.
And do you raise your children with these beliefs?
When they're 18 years old, they do what they want.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you something about one of my kids. She was so enlightened that when we were shooting a documentary for Showtime, the people came and talked with her, and they said, as long as they're not having sex in my bed, I don't care what they do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think that's a damn good answer.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Also, I want to ask you, how old are you? I don't know. You're a lawyer, though, right?
I'm a lawyer? God forbid.
No.
No, he's a step above a lawyer. He's a pornographer.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe he was a lawyer pornographer is what I was getting a drift of it.
No. That's interesting. No. How old do you think I am? Play a guessing game.
Oh, I don't know. I don't.
What does this show turn into tonight? Guess his weight next.
Yeah, why not guess my weight? I've lost 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh man, thank God I've never seen any of the early films. I got to take a break. We'll be back.
Is great stuff.
We'll be back after this on the Gil Gross Show.
Hi, I'm David Orrick. How can you tell if my 8-pound Orrick XL hotel vacuum really cleans better than those 40-pound clunkers? It's simple. Call me at 1-800-989-4200. I'll send you my 8-pound Orrick XL to use in your own home free for 15 days, and I'll send you some extra hypoallergenic bags. First, vacuum a carpet with your present vacuum cleaner, then vacuum the very same carpet with my 8-pound Orrick XL. Cut open the bag, and you're in for the surprise of your life. You'll find the hidden dirt your present vacuum cleaner leaves behind. Dust, dirt, dander, sand, pet hair, I guarantee it. But don't take my word for it. Prove it to yourself. Call 1-800-989-4200 for my Try It Before You Buy It offer, or my free Orrick XL color brochure. That's 1-800-989-4200. If you don't love it, you don't keep it.
You're going, transferred to New York, but your house won't be ready for 3 months. So call Oakwood Corporate Housing. They find fully furnished apartments in over 1,000 cities. Oakwood provides everything from linens to VCRs, stress-free, so you'll have time to figure out New York. Figure out New York, write a bestseller about it. Write a bestseller, you can move home to Kansas. Heck, you could own Kansas. Call 1-800-888-0808. 1-800-888-0808. Oakwood Corporate Housing, America's favorite temporary address.
I love chocolate, but not all those calories and fat. That's why I'm glad I found incredible new Ovaltine Light. It satisfies my craving for a creamy, chocolatey snack with fewer calories. It's good for me, and it's fat-free.
New Ovaltine Light has the great taste of chocolate malt Ovaltine, but with fewer calories. And Ovaltine Light has essential vitamins and minerals.
Now when I want a chocolatey snack, I don't feel guilty. I feel like an Ovaltine Light.
Feel like an Ovaltine.
It could be 2 million light years to the left of Alpha Centauri, or perhaps slightly south of the constellation Orion. No one's entirely certain. But somewhere out there exists the greatest concentration of nothingness in the universe. It's called the black hole. What it's like inside this celestial abyss, even the best minds in science can only speculate. But drop out of school, and you'll come as close to experiencing it as anyone on Earth. Because while tomorrow's high-tech world will be full of opportunities for those with a solid education, it could be rather empty for those without one. So stay in school. This message was brought to you by the United States Air Force, because we know how far a good education can take you.
When you think of discoveries, what usually comes to mind? Well, if you're like most people, you're probably thinking Christopher Columbus, maybe Leif Erikson, maybe even Magellan. It's history that everyone can recite. But if you look around, you'll see hundreds of discoveries, things that directly impact you and your quality of life. For example, you're hearing my voice right now in your car, home, wherever you may be, thanks to the discoveries made by scientists and engineers. Think about that. Television and satellites make it possible to see what's going on all over the world. We have safe water to drink, better ways to grow food, supersonic planes, computers, supercomputers, vaccines, lasers, and artificial limbs that work just like our own. So next time you think of discoveries, well, Columbus is worth remembering. But don't forget scientists and engineers, because all of these things, and more, are the direct result of their work. A public service message from the National Science Foundation. Well, we got to go. It's been yeah, I know.
Well,
I'll see you next door. William Margold, I thank you for being with us. It's always interesting.
Lots of fun, kid.
Take care. I thank you all for calling in. I thank you for being there. I'm Gil Gross. I'll be talking to you.